Hi, Maxim. How are you doing today? Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me clear?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly. Give
Oh,
me a moment to turn on my video.
okay.
Mm,
Oh,
Okay,
it's
great.
pleasure to see you.
Hi, man.
Yeah, my name is
Yeah, pleasure is
Dmitry.
mine.
My name is Dmitry. We are working together with Maxim. Maxim, member of our
Mm.
team. Yeah, and I'm CEO of Lemons. This is fintech platform which helps buyers to buy products from Chinese suppliers directly without any intermediaries. And we are the
Okay,
goal of our conversation. We are trying to understand the problems which exist on the market, and we'll try to solve it. So therefore, I
okay,
would like to ask several questions in your experience side. Uh,
okay, let's go ahead.
yeah. Okay. Can you shortly explain where do you work, and what is your responsibilities in this company?
Okay, so far so good. I work with Wise Consulting Services, and what I do currently is I'm an SAP consultant. Of course, I know you know what SAP is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
an ERP software that helps mitigate business processes, problems that business processes have. And that is what I do so far. Yes, I'm both certified in the procurement part of it and sourcing part of it as well. And I also have some proficiency skills with S4HANA as well. SAP S4HANA and BYD and SF, and most of the SAP modules. But prior to that, I've worked, I got my discipline as the transport management technology. Yeah, second class with honors. And I have worked with logistics firms and I have my own logistics firm as well. So I teach procurement and supply chain. So I understand most of the problems that buyers face because aside from my academic knowledge, I drop ship as well. I do some bit of drop shipping, and I have to interface with these Chinese clients and these Chinese suppliers. So, of course, the aside from language being the problem, Google Translate helps to mitigate that problem. But when it comes to payments, we know that the Chinese have a very strict monetary policy when it comes to foreign exchange. I mean,
Legislation,
most
yes.
of the
Mhm.
companies, yes, most of the companies have an FX limit as regards to foreign exchange. So they're like, this is the cap for the year, and they don't accept any more payments. Do you understand? And also, you know that because of the fact that they have long names, long company names, it's a bit difficult to capture all of those characters in any bank's beneficiary name form or bank form. So there's always that problem of writing the full, excuse me, getting the full beneficiary name of the company on that beneficiary name for the bank, like the platform itself, like when you have the right, you want to make the payment, and there's the beneficiary name, beneficiary account number, and all of that data. Well, that name part is always a problem as well, and most of the time because of their strict monetary policy, before they get to receive the cash, I mean, when you're doing a telegraphic transfer and you do a delivery, say from Nigeria, for example, it takes up to like a week before they even get to see that the money has been sent to them. And of course, you know that there are businesses where we have to use a letter of credit and all of those other, yeah, that's those are the exceptions, of course. But yeah, in liaising and partnering with Chinese suppliers, there's always that impediment of cash when they are waiting, but that payment thing. Sometimes the money is even being sent back because they think that if, for example, if the Chinese
Yeah.
suppliers go to the bank to receive the money, They now tell them, they now ask them questions like, okay, who sent the money? If they are not able to write your own name, your own sender's name properly, the bank flags it and sends it back. So there are just a lot of bottlenecks around payments to Chinese suppliers that it's really, I'm in a third world country, and I can see that our banking system is way, 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 way up. But for just the policies are just what creates these bottlenecks. Because of course I know that they a bit advanced as well too. They of course they have WeChat payments and other sorts of payments as well, and then the Alibaba payments options as well too. So I just feel like the main problem is their policies because there are options. There are a lot of options, but the policies always hinder these options, and you hear different stories. That's it.
Okay, you mentioned about the payments through the bank, but I'm trying to understand, do you work with the agent who helps buyers to make payments to Chinese suppliers?
Yes, I have worked with agents that helped me make that kind of, yes, I've worked with agents like that as well.
Yeah, I'm trying
I
now to
have.
understand. In what cases do you work with the agent but don't work with the bank? I'm trying to understand why don't you send money to Chinese suppliers through the bank, but to prefer work with the agent? What cases do you use the agent?
Well, for example, okay, let me explain the Nigerian problem here.
Yeah.
Now, why we use agents is because we want to mitigate the cost of forwarding, for the cost of sending the product. For example, you purchase a pair of pants from a Chinese supplier, and you want to make sure that what you purchase, aside from, because it's going to cost a lot to request for a sample, right? It's going to cost a lot to request for a sample. And because of that same reason, you want to just get the agent to help you inspect, right? To help you inspect the quality of the materials you're getting. So you don't import a product that you now have to even now make returns for. Who's going to pay for that return? Right? So we now use agents because they claim that they are there and they can help facilitate this thing. So let them also do the job of inspecting the quality of the materials as well.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. That's where we use agent mostly. And because of the fact that, in fact, that's it. Because of the fact that also another reason is because of the fact that there's always this clearing and forwarding bottleneck that we have in Nigeria because of the high cost of import duty and all of that. So we want to use a forwarder that knows or an agent that knows how to get these products across without having for us to pay so much money to customs when we're getting them in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also
Yeah.
a reason for us using agents.
Okay, can you describe how the process of payment through agent look like?
Oh, okay. The process of payments. Okay, the agents have their own. They probably have their own account number. They have their own account number. They may also have their own Chinese account numbers as well. So the idea is, okay, we have a product that's coming in, so supplier, and this is the pro forma invoice of the supplier, and we pay the exact amount, right? Now, when we pay that amount to the agent, we're also going to pay the cost of handling of those products and sending them down to Nigeria, of course. And they weigh this product, they have to weigh them, and they will now charge you for cost of handling and sending down to Nigeria. So yeah, that's how the process is. So they have their own accounts, and we fund the money into their accounts, we send the money into the accounts, and they pay the suppliers. They serve as our intermediaries and they pay the suppliers. They also serve as our inspectors. They inspect the quality of the product. They serve as our forwarders and clearing and forwarding agents as well because they help us control that logistic loop of taking the products from the port in Guangzhou or somewhere in China and sending it directly to the port here in Lagos, Nigeria. So they help us cover. They're more like, if you permit me to say, they're more like a 3 or 4P or third-party logistics services. So that's what the agents actually provide, because they help you inspect, they help you send, they help you still bring the products down to where you are here in Nigeria. So they more like deliver the services of a third-party logistics firm.
What about the what about the price? How much this agent charge? For example, if I would like to send money to Chinese producer, $1,000, how much agent will charge for payment? Exactly payment service.
Yeah, there's no particular charge. It all depends on the exchange rate at the time. And where I think they make their own money is they look at the exchange rate and they're like, okay, for example, in Nigeria, we have this issue. The central bank exchange rate is different from the parallel market exchange rate.
Yes.
When I mean the parallel market exchange rate, I mean like the black market exchange rate itself. So we have like the black market exchange rate, like permit me to say hypothetically like 800 naira, so $1. And we have the CBN central bank rate to be 400 to $1. Of course, these prices change as every day goes by. So those figures are actually hypothetical. But imagine that we have that kind of a dilemma, and you're thinking about how you can actually get it across. So what they do is they now decide they of course there's nobody that will not charge you on the parallel market rates. Nobody listens to nobody knows nobody cares about the CBN rate, so they will charge you on that parallel market rate, which is of, let's just say hypothetically 800. Now they can either increase it or reduce it. It depends on the exchange rate at that time. So most of them, the way they get their own profits is to increase the exchange rate, at least for some few nairas, and down weigh the goods. When they weigh the goods, they can now tell you the amount you're not going to pay. Do you understand? Or the amount they will charge you, rather. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. What's the percentage agent increase the exchange rate? For example, if parallel market has 800 naira for $1, what will be the rate from the agent?
Now the agent can say, since it is 800 to $1, pay me 810. Pay me 810. So 810 now, 10 naira extra on 800 will be what? Let me check that. 10 naira extra on 800 will be, hold on, give me a minute.
Okay.
Because if you now think about it, hold on.
I'm trying to understand what the spread they implement to the exchange rate.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to get that as well. Give me a minute, please. Okay. So they can charge you, they can say they are going to charge you 10%.
10%?
Or 5%. Yes, or 5%.
From 5 to 10%?
From 5 to 10%.
It's
some
too
people
high.
go as low as it's too high. Some people are reasonable and they go as low as say 2% or 1%. But usually you say go from 10%. So they'd be like 880 or 870. Because the idea is if you're going to even go to get it, there's no dollar. For example, Nigeria has a case study. We don't have FX, we don't have dollars. So everybody is looking for the dollar.
Yeah.
Do you understand? We're all searching for the dollar. Even most companies, everybody's looking for the dollar. So he is going to help you pay in the dollar. But also do not forget that we had a deal some previous years ago where we could now pay directly to Chinese suppliers in yuan. But that has not been forthcoming because Chinese suppliers still charge in dollars. And we don't have the strength to now start looking for who will change our money to yuan. So we just go straight ahead and just use dollars. But now that the exchange rate of dollars is causing a lot of inflation in Nigeria, there's no dollar. So everybody would want to pay an extra fee to get that service across. So most people charge 5%, 10%. And it all depends on the number of goods and the price, of course. The number of goods will determine how much in total they'll be able to make. So you can negotiate with the number of goods. You can say, oh, I'm going to get more. I'm actually buying a container load of items, right? So they can now understand and say, okay, 5%. You understand?
Yes, yeah, I understand. Thank you. Does agent charge any additional commission except this percentage which he implementing exchange rate? Does agent to charge any additional percentage for the payment services?
No, there's no particular. I don't think I've had any experience with any intermediaries saying they want to charge for the percentage of the payment, because I can go ahead and make my payments, right? I can make my payments however I like. The only thing is, even if I'm going to even pay an agent, I won't be even, the smart option is not to even think of paying the agent in dollars, right? Is to pay the agent in the, like, rather, the currency of focus should not be dollar, it should be in yuan. Do you understand what I'm saying? It should be in RMB. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't even be in dollar. It should be in RMB. And in RMB now, RMB to the naira, if you're going to go with the black market, is like 95 to 97. 95 to 97 naira to a naira. Yes, like you need one RMB, 97 naira for one RMB. So if I'm going to make any payment to any agent, my way is to seek or insist to pay in yuan. And when I do insist to pay in yuan, the percentage doesn't look so high, so much, that because it's stable to the naira, the yuan is stable. But of course, we know that dollar still has its influence in all of these currencies. And if the dollar gets too high again, the yuan will even increase to about 100 naira to 1 yuan. So I've not really I've not made any payment to any intermediary for the payment services. Rather, it's part of the package. It's part of the package, because you're not only going to be making that payment for me, you are going to also be involved in my supply chain, in the sense that you are going to take control of the logistics parts. You're going to make sure you clear, you're going to make sure you forward the product. I would receive the product. When the product gets to the port, you will clear the product as well and send the product to me. So I don't have any personnel for small merchants and small businesses and small companies that do not have that whole supply chain. You go directly to the agent, and he's now an important cog in your supply chain.
Okay,
That's
I
how
can
it works.
understand. Yeah, Caleb, I understand. Can you say, please, when you paying through agent, what is the biggest problem which arise? What is most biggest inconvenience in this payment process when you work with the agent?
Yeah, one of the problems is the agent doesn't deliver on time. One of the problems is, because of too many orders, they take their time usually, and they might not deliver on time. Another problem would be if there's a recent exchange rate increase. For example, I already spoke to the agents yesterday night, and I woke up this morning and the dollar has risen. For example, when the dollar even rose up from 700 to 800, when it just skyrocketed to 700 to 800, there can be a deal on ground, and at the end of the day, because of that recent increase, I will not be able to make that purchase, because the agents will be like, you have to add more, you have to pay extra because of the recent exchange rate increase. But we already sealed the deal, right? We've sealed the deal and we've shook hands. So I'm just supposed to go ahead. Then that little greed, that little greed always comes to play with everybody, and they be like, oh, because of the recent exchange rate increase, you have to pay more. Regardless of that, there's no, because I'm paying directly to your Naira account. As an agent, you also have a Naira account as well as you have a yuan account. So I'm paying directly to your Naira account. You're the one doing the conversions. So I feel like where this extra cost comes in is in that extra costing. That's why they charge that extra 10%. Because if I'm the one making the cost of changing the money and also paying your supplier, of course, you should give me a little thing, even though it's too much. So it now varies from agent to agent, because these are entrepreneurs in their own lives, and they are also looking for how to make profit. So any agent can take his percentage down, or in fact, if I meet an agent and he knows that I'll be making orders frequently, maybe monthly, would of course strike a bargain and get to a very good percentage, even if it's 1% or 2%, and would get to that deal. We don't even, it doesn't have to be something. We just price the normal way Nigerians price, and we'll be like, okay, let's just try, let it be eight, eight. I'll be giving you 810. For example, I can meet an agent and tell him I'm not going to pay this so amount. Let me pay 810 because my orders are going to be more frequent, and I'll always use you as my agent. Like, we're going to have that relationship, that continuance, and I'll use your firm, you always help me clear and forward these goods as well, and I'll pay for all of that. So let it just be 810. And there you have a deal, 810. So they are reasonable like that sometimes. They're mostly reasonable like that sometimes, but of course that's not that's not fully everything.
Caleb, when you send Naira to agent, what agent we are going to do with Naira? Does he convert Naira to dollar, to yuan, and how does he and how will he to send money to a Chinese vendor? Do you know this process?
I don't particularly know this process. I think that is the secret of the trade, because that's why we have agents, of course.
I mean, no. I mean, does agent to send money Chinese suppliers through bank or through Alipay, maybe?
No, I don't get your question. Are you saying what do I prefer? Where do I prefer sending money to suppliers from? Or are you preferring my mode of payments? What mode of payment do I prefer?
Mode payment.
Okay, the mode of payment I prefer actually. Well, if there was a way to, of course, there's a way to pay directly because we also have our own SWIFT code and all of that. But it means that
you
mean
without agent? Do you prefer to pay directly your suppliers without agent?
I'll prefer to pay directly to my supplier.
Why? It's important for you?
Well, because I wouldn't have to pay that extra percentage to the agent. I would have to pay that extra pay. But the issue here is usually with logistics and transport. That's why you might want to use an agent. But most times, I've also made a payment directly to a supplier, and I told them the agent to forward the goods to. But most times, it always makes sense because it's just like so that you're just using a one-way approach to it. So you just want to say, okay, let you just pay the agent for everything and let the agent do his thing. But if you're not looking at that one mode approach, you would want to pay the suppliers yourself and expect that they will send the transport through an agent. But to even mitigate all of this is for you to be able to communicate properly with your suppliers. Now, if you're able to communicate properly with your suppliers, if you are able to ask the right questions, like, okay, what countries have you shipped to before? And they let you know that they've shipped to Africa, they've shipped to Nigeria, or they've shipped to any particular country. It means that, of course, they would have a way, or they have a logistics option that is easier for them to use. So that is why sometimes I usually just focus on, except the item is not something that I want to really, for example, if I'm doing drop shipping, if the item is not something that I want to make a mainstay, I will not want to communicate with the supplier. Yeah, I'll just go through the agent directly. But if it's a main product for me or something that we always procure frequently, I will build a relationship with the supplier, and he would help me establish that supply chain that deals with transportation of that product to Nigeria. So it will help me establish that link. Do you understand? So it will be his job to help me get a suitable transport, and I'll be able to pay for it. But I'll pay directly to him or whoever the supplier is, and they will help me create that link of transport. But sometimes where you don't want to waste much time and you don't want to try to mitigate time as much as possible, you go directly to the agent because the agent already has an established transport company, or rather have their own transport connection that they might probably outsource or use when you make that payment. So it's a bit faster. So that's why I said that if the supplier is my main supplier, if it's not just a one-time supplier, if it's just not a one-time purchase, if it's a frequent purchase or a recurrent purchase that I'll be making every month or bi-monthly or annually, I will decide to build a relationship with the supplier, and it will help me in the areas that I feel like I would need the agent. What are those areas? Transportation. That's the number one issue. So for us Nigerian purchasers or buyers, because we are not there, you're not there directly, you're not there on your own. So you cannot determine the type of transportation that the goods will be shipped in. And because you cannot speak proper, you cannot speak Chinese or Mandarin, you need somebody that can actually communicate and be able to give that specification of how you want that product to be packaged and handled and sent across. So that is why. These are the reasons.
Why the clients cannot to pay directly to Chinese suppliers, Chinese producer through Alipay, for example? Because I know that many suppliers, producer who is located on Alibaba can provide opportunity to pay through Alipay. Why most buyers don't pay suppliers through Alipay?
It's a third party. It's a third party. The thing about buyers that we have to understand is third parties are stressful. It means that your money is going to have to flow through somebody else to watch you. So it's just like okay, for example, you want to make a small purchase, and before you make this purchase, your money has to flow through someone else that now has to now pay the supplier directly. So that whole flow of money is more like a bottleneck. It's more like a longer process. Don't forget that the whole idea of supply chain, on the whole idea of transport, buying and selling these days, is to meet the customer's need in time. So just-in-time logistics is a number one priority for anybody going into import and exportation. You know that you want just-in-time logistics because you want the item to get to you, and you want to be able to fulfill that order right on time, right? So
Yes.
that is why any other form of payment that's not a direct payment would be like a longer route to getting what you want done. So, for example, let's say there's a fintech company, and for example, you're like you guys, because I've been able to go to your site and I've checked what you guys have, and I see it's quite interesting. I never knew that site existed before. Well, yeah, because you guys have your one USDT, you are even cool because you guys even use the USDT coin, and one USDT is also one USD, and it's also the same thing as but it's still the same thing as the black market naira. So it's a bit still difficult, right? So now imagine me, if I don't have an account with Lemon, or I don't have a particular sort of bank account with Lemon that I know that I can easily use to pay Chinese suppliers, why would I want to transfer my money to? For example, I'm just saying, like, for example, I'm new now. I'm new, of course I'm new, and I want to make a purchase to my Chinese suppliers. If Lemon does not give me my own personalized account, it will be stressful for me to say I want to send money through the Lemon app, and they will now send the money through to the Chinese suppliers. Instead, I will be able to pay the Chinese suppliers through the Lemon app, and they will also have to have the Lemon app. So it's like we have the same kind of bank account, and I can easily transfer the money from my account to your account. So you can't even tell me it's going to take 5 or 2. So it's going to take 3 to 5, 6 days before I get the money. No, immediately you are using that same Lemon app, you're getting the money immediately, and you are seeing the receipt. You understand?
Yes,
and it's
yes,
done. So yeah, and it's done. So except that, if that option does not exist, any other involvement of a third party would properly establish that they are a third party. But if you have this option, it's more or less like a one-to-one kind of thing. It's an end-to-end process. I want to pay for something. I have a Lemon account. I asked the supplier, do you guys have a Lemon account as well? They say they do have a Lemon account. Straight up, I make the payments. I don't have to go through Western Union. I don't have to go through, even PayPal helps us better. PayPal kind of makes this payment thing easy because immediately they have a PayPal account. For example, how I pay for my samples is through the PayPal account. PayPal account is connected directly to my bank account. And immediately I want to pay for samples, I just get your email address and I send it to you directly. Immediately I send it to you, you get the payment, and it's just that PayPal has their own, they have their own, it's too complex. It can get so complex at times with the whole family and friends or business remark statement kind of thing. All those things are bottlenecks. Yeah, just they make the whole process complex. But you have an app that I can just make my payment directly to the supplier as well. It's easy. Why people don't use Alipay is because imagine you are paying to Alibaba first. Alibaba will collect their own percentage. You collect their own percentage. They must collect their percentage. They collect percentage for transferring that money back to your suppliers. So it is no different from the bank charge that we see every day. You get so if the bank is going to charge me for a particular fee to make a telegraphic transfer, why would I want to go and use Alipay? It's still the same process. It just more or less means that I'll be charged twice. So I wouldn't want that long process. I would just want to directly make payment to the supplier, directly be able to confirm immediately that the supplier has received the payment. Because that's another thing. When the supplier does not receive the payment, my job is being held, or the production is being delayed, or the shipment is being delayed. So I would have to confirm that the supplier has received that payment. So that ease, that fastness, that's okay. I have made the payment. Yes, I've gotten the payment. It solves everything for most of us. It solves a lot of things. So because I now have that rest of mind that yes, the supplier has received that payment, and I can now do what I want, or I can now make my specifications, all of that.
Okay, Caleb, thank you. If you will summarize the problem which buyers face too, the first will be the problem that it's hard to source dollar on the market. What will be the second, third, fourth, five main problem? How will you prioritize these problems?
Okay, so I'm not sure I'm not sure if I understand the question. Are you saying that I should summarize with the
Yeah.
problems?
Yeah. I'm trying to understand what's the biggest problem on the market when you trying to pay through the agent. The first problem, I understand that it's hard to find the dollar on the market to pay Chinese suppliers. What's the next problem, third problem?
Okay, the next problem would now be that the exchange rate actually. The exchange rate is a big determinator of whether you want to use an agent or whether, because of course they have their own charge, they have their own percentage charge. So the exchange rate the exchange rate is also a problem because they would want to, every buyer would want to understand that he's not paying so much for procuring a particular item. The other problem would be that um, chain of communication, right? That chain of communication that I have to make the payment first. So imagine I make the payment first to the agent. It takes the agent 2 days to receive the payment. He receives the payment. He makes the same payment to the supplier. And the supplier says, okay, it's going to take a day or two as well before he gets it. So that is why that length of communication, it helps to waste a lot of time. It has to waste a lot of time. So also time is involved. That's like the third option, third point. The time is also involved in all of these things.
Okay, let's imagine if you would decide to import some goods from China for yourself, what scheme will you choose? What payment method will you choose for yourself? How will you do it?
If I'm to pay my Chinese supplier, right?
Yeah.
I think my preferred payment method would be to pay directly. That is if I have transportation and logistics sorted out. That's the only clause involved. If I don't have transportation and logistics sorted out, if the supplier is not it's just a one-time purchase, I'll rather use an agent.
What payment method will you choose for paying directly?
Payment methods for paying directly, of course, telegraphic transfer. It has to be a telegraphic transfer. There's no other.
Why not?
I cannot.
Why not Alipay, for example?
Yeah, why not Alipay? That, like I said, why not Alipay? Is because Alipay is a third party, and they are also going to have their own deduction of a percentage. It is not, yeah, it is also because imagine you use Alipay, for example, they are also a third party. In fact, even though Alipay exists, it just gives that idea that somebody else has to be involved with your money before it gets to the supplier. So for us, fine Nigerians, I know my people, we don't like third parties handling our cash. We just want to know that we have control of that payment system and we can access it. We can cancel payments and we can withdraw payment and send payment anytime we like. We need that access. So Alipay just collects the money and sends directly to the supplier, but of course they still have their own percentage charge, and it is still a
Do you
bottleneck
know?
in the sense
Do
that
you know what the size of percentage does they charge?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it differs
About
from product to product. I think it differs from
about
product to product. But so far so good. What I think, I don't think they even charge that much. It's just a few yuan, a few yuan deductions. Of course, if you're saying, for example, last time a friend made payment through Alipay, he was supposed to make, I think it was for a sample, they were supposed to pay about 250 US dollars. They added some few change, and at the end of the day, he ended up paying 260. He
Mhm.
ended up paying 260. So
Okay.
those extra, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. We talked with previously with buyers, and they said about the problem that when they are trying to pay Chinese suppliers through agent, the first they need to pay to buy dollar, and then to pay agent dollar, and then agent convert dollar to yuan.
Right.
It's needed to convert 2 times, and in which time they need to lose money for conversion fee. Are there some problem? Yeah, do you know something about this problem that need to convert 2 times? The first time in dollars, the second time to yuan.
Yeah, exactly. I said this before as well. Those
Ah,
are the issues. Those are the issues that we actually face because those conversions, that is the charge. That's where the charges come from. Agents because some agents now will not even they wouldn't even disturb you in paying in dollars. They will not bother you to pay in dollars because they want to make it easy. But they will charge you for that stress that you would have done or that stress. For example, if you pay in dollars, you convert, you lose money through conversions. They will charge you for all those losses that you're going to lose if you are the one making those kind of payment on your own. Do you understand? They will just say,
yes,
okay, because if it was you, Dimitri, making that payment, you would have converted the naira to dollar. That's number one first step. Before the agent will now convert the dollar to yuan. And during this process, you have lost money, some few change to conversion. So mitigates the process. They now mitigate these things for you by telling you to do what? By telling by
yes,
asking you
yes.
to now add a certain yes, asking to now add a certain fee. So they can now say, okay, 10%, just give us eight something, just give us 880. I'll pay everything. So you will not bother going to the looking for dollar, you will not bother paying the agent in dollar. So most people, anyway, agents are different. You understand? Agents are very different. So some agents want to make it easier because they know that it's going to stress you to even look for that dollar to buy. Now, when you now pay the agent in dollars, the agent will also now, your money is now going to be devalued in the sense that when they
Caleb,
now pay in dollars,
Caleb, sorry, can
yeah.
you? I will renew the link because we have and time. I have last questions. I will send you a new link now in LinkedIn. Okay.
All right, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.